Hey all, I got a lot of questions on my last video regarding Juicetra's background. A lot of people were wondering how the background shapes were done. Some people knew how to do it, and it does take a lot of patience. It's not really difficult, but I thought I'd put a quick video together just to show you how it's done. It's really easy, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new file here, and let's do a screen resolution, which let's try 1920 by 1080. There we go. So there's a few different techniques and approaches you can do for this. What I like to do, and the one that was done for Juice's background, was sticking to three-sided shapes and building kind of this texture with it. So let's go ahead and start. The tool I've been using is this polygon lasso tool, and basically you just want to draw your random triangular shape. So three-sided, you can experiment with this and try four-sided, try different shapes and sizes. The best approach I've seen, though, is that you pick one type of polygon or shape and only use that. So if you're going to do triangles, just do triangles. If you're going to do rectangular shapes, just do rectangular shapes. So basically, after you create your shape here, you just want to quickly fill it. And I'm just going to fill it with the background color, which the shortcut is, well, on PC it's Control Delete, and that'll just fill it. Be careful here. There's a lot of I've got a bad habit with, right when I do a selection of some sort, I quickly deselect it or unselect it. You don't want to do that in this case. You want to keep the marquee going, the selection going, and then come over here to your burn tool or your dodge tool, and we can start with either one. Let's start with the dodge. This is basically your highlight. So whichever side of the polygon you put this on, just be aware that you want to try and keep that consistent across the rest of these shapes. So for example here, I'm going to do it across the bottom, and I'm just barely going to highlight it just a bit, because we don't want it to be we don't want this one shape to be super in focus. So I've just added a quick little highlight across the bottom kind of left hand side of this element, and once we keep it consistent, it's going to keep a nice texture across the entire thing. Next, you want to go to your burn tool, and I'll have to go into this later, but the dodge tool and the burn tool are actually real. They were built around real techniques you used on photos in the lab when working with film. One was underexposed, one was overexposed. So in this case, it's not your traditional. It's just going to get darker or lighter. It might change the color tone just slightly depending on what color you choose, because it's a different method. So here I'm just going to kind of burn the edges a little bit, and then you can deselect, and that's your first shape. Now what you want to do is probably pick an end, and we're going to create another triangular shape. And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, if there's a gap, sometimes it looks cool in between the shapes. So again, we're going to go through and kind of burn the edges here, and then dodge a couple edges. And you can see we're going to start getting that overall effect that I used on Juicetra's background, and I used on similar on Bash's background, but Bash's background was much more to illustrate his name, which kind of has an explosive type Bash effect. So his shapes used different four-sided and three-sided shapes. Juicetra's background was a little bit different, so I used only triangular shapes on that one. And then you can see that you can kind of start breaking it up here. So what I'm going to do is go through and kind of do some more and get the overall screen ready for you. And see, I just did that one wrong. I did the wrong side, so it's going to throw everything off if I don't fix this. So I'll fix this one, and I'll be back in just a minute with the final. Okay, so we have pretty much everything full of some sort of color. So I'm down just to the last few shapes here, and I am going rather quickly. So you can, if you have more patience than I do right now, you can make something pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in these last few little shapes here, and with the dodge and the burn tool, you can see all you're really trying to do is just help pull that edge apart. You just, when the edges come into each color, you're just giving it just enough highlight with either shadow or a little bit of brightness to just pull it away from the other shape. So in most cases, less is more. Don't really go, you don't need to go overboard. Another thing you could try is using like a gradient instead of just a solid color. Here we're just using the solid gunmetal blue, but you could try a subtle gradient, or you can try a high contrast gradient and really see what happens there. But we're just about to wrap this up. So there is still some white edges in here. Blow this up. The next trick would be, whatever your base color is to go ahead and just fill that background, and that'll help clean it up. And as you can see there, that's the final design here. So if you want to shrink this down and replicate it, then you'd be able to use this as a pretty massive background pattern, or you can just keep it as this. This looks kind of cool. Some shapes are off here where you can see the edges pop out a little bit in the angles, but for the most part it's really straightforward. It's pretty easy. Like I just said, it just takes some patience. From when I paused it from the first few shapes to here, it was probably another 20 minutes. So if you're doing a big background, it can take you a while, so you might want to just do some copy pasting and replicating to help speed that up. But for the most part, it's easy. So I hope you find this helpful and useful, and I'll try and do more of these down the road if you do. So let me know below. Leave a comment, leave a like, shoot me an email, find me on Twitter, and let me know if you liked it or hated it or whatnot, and I'll do more accordingly. All right, take care.